Welcome to this week's episode of the Compliance Digest, presenting topics on all things compliance related. My name's Alex Krenke, and joining me again this week is Michael Kirk, one of our senior sales executives here at QuiceCE. Mike, welcome back.
Thank you, Alex.
This week, we're going to talk about cybersecurity as it relates to broker-dealers and investment advisors, as this has just been a recent headline that's been coming out of investment news and a lot of other more mainstream media in this country. So recently, the SEC came out with some guidelines, or more so some recommendations that they'd like to cover in 2014, and then we've seen FINRA come out with some similar guidelines that they'd like to be pursuing this year as well. So today, Mike's going to go over what we can expect from these two regulators, and then we'll talk about some tips as well. So just want to start off by talking about what the SEC has planned for this year and FINRA.
Sure. Certainly not a threat that's going to go away by any means. What they have announced is not really the specifics as far as what they're looking for, but they have made an announcement that they're going to increase the audit procedures for at least 20 firms in the upcoming year on procedures of what they're doing with regards to cybersecurity. The firms that they're identifying are broad in nature, so it's not going to be a single unique type of broker-dealer by any means. But definitely, I think the results from these examinations are what's going to drive future policy making in years to come.
And this is all coming off of the fact that we had these recent attacks on Target and Neiman Marcus and even Michaels. So it's something that's on the top of everyone's mind, and it's definitely a part of the discussion that's going on right now. So when we're talking about tips for avoiding cybersecurity, what would you tell somebody?
Generally speaking, it's very elementary to say, but be aware that you're on the internet. And there's things that are out there. There are bad guys out in this world, and we need to be really conscious of how it works and how we can protect ourselves. There's always, of course, the phishing and scamming procedures that we need to be aware of. Don't open up emails with attachments that don't understand what a sender is, and why would they ask us for this private information. Those are all very common. But in my research, I did find a couple ideas that were a little different. One was when we email our clients to use the BCC function versus the CC function. This will disallow people from seeing who else is on our list that we're sharing even non-sensitive information with. Second idea was to Google yourself. Google your own firm, at least on a monthly basis. Kind of put yourselves in the mindset of the criminal and in their own shoes, and try and figure out how you might be able to uncover private information about yourself as if you were them. And then, of course, there's the ever tedious password changing and password updating and keeping passwords different for various login credentials wherever we may find ourselves.
The key really is to try to stay one step ahead of what these cyber attackers are doing. And I know that changing your password and having multiple passwords isn't always the most convenient and easiest way to navigate the internet, but it's certainly the safest and easiest way to ensure that when one gets compromised, they don't all get compromised.
Correct. Absolutely.
So bringing this all back home, and when we're looking at a compliance department, what tips would you pass along to them for their own reps, and even one step beyond that for the general public? How do we protect ourselves?
Two words come to mind. First is training. As these things evolve and change, make sure that you're properly informing your reps, even your clients, as far as what your firm is doing, and properly train on that. That's something that we can accommodate on, of course. Then the second idea that comes to my mind is to attest. As FINRA is going to examine your procedures and your policies, you're going to want to have the ability to document that you've done training and that your reps are aware of firm policy regarding cybersecurity, and that they've attested to this. So definitely training and attestations.
No, I think that's an excellent point, Mike. And as we've been saying, this is certainly something that's on the top of FINRA's mind, on the top of the SEC's mind, and it's really on the top of everyone's mind of the public. When we're looking at the way that cybersecurity is certainly something that's constantly evolving, and the way that cyber attackers are always coming up with new ways to get our information, it's important that you update your policies. It's important that if you have training materials, that you take a look at them and see when was the last time they were updated, because the cyber attacks continue to become more sophisticated as the days go on, and we need to be prepared as people who are helping out the general public. So hopefully you found some good information in today's topic and something you can pass on to your reps. It's important to have up-to-date training and attestations to make sure that your reps are following the rules and following your firm's policy. And that'll cover it for this week's episode. I want to thank you for joining us, and we will see you again in another couple weeks for another episode of the Compliance Digest.